trainer. He has more than 10 years of experience in the domain of project management. He'll share his experience with you and will provide tips on how to pass PMP exam in first attempt. Without further delay, I will hand over the session to our speaker, Bhaskar Dev Chaudhary. Over to you, Bhaskar.
Thank you very much and welcome all and to this webinar where we'll talk about the journey of how I cleared my PMP certification and some lessons learned throughout this process. And obviously, I'll share some tips and tricks which I guess will help you to pass the PMP certification exam at the first attempt. So the agenda for today's session would be first I'll share what was my plan to pass PMP at the very first attempt. I have prepared a detailed plan. I guess it will help you to focus on the right areas and stream your energy all into the key areas which you should focus for passing the PMP exam in your very first attempt. Then we'll talk about what are the next steps that you can take after you clear your PMP certification, and obviously some tips and tricks to clear the PMP certification at the very first attempt. And at the end, we'll wrap it up with a question answer session. You can type the questions on your question set box, and I'll be happy to answer all the questions that come up from you. So without wasting any time, let us just jump into our session and discuss the way that I followed to pass PMP certification exam at the very first attempt. So as I said, that the purpose of this webinar is to share the PMP experience that I have gained while I was giving the PMP exam, while I prepared for it. And obviously, after sitting before the computer and giving the exam for 4 hours, answering around 200 questions, I finally cleared my PMP at the very first attempt. The whole journey has been both joyful and fruitful experience for me and my professional life as well. So in this session, I'll try to put across all my lessons learned, all the plan that I followed, and I have prepared this plan in a very, what do you call, like, if you have gone through PMBOK, which the standard on which PMP is based. If you have seen PMBOK, it is divided into inputs, tools, techniques, and outputs. So I've divided my entire journey of PMP into this famous format of inputs, tools, techniques, and outputs adapted by me. So I'll divide what are the inputs that I've used, what are the tools and techniques that I used to pass PMP, and ultimately the output that I have gained after clearing PMP examination. So if I talk about my inputs, the prerequisites that I had in place before I went for the PMP certification exam are, first of all, I took the PMI membership. Now, many people have this question, why do I take a PMI membership? Well, the benefits are manifold. There are lots of benefits if you are a project manager professional. However, the most important benefit from the exam, PMP exam perspective, if I say, first of all, you can download a free copy of Guide to PMBOK. And then you can download a free copy of PMBOK. And obviously, apart from that, you also get some discount in the exam fees. And apart from that, you also get access to a question bank, uh, which is by Christopher Scodo. If you are a PMI member, you will get an access of the question bank, which I recommend everyone to go through. Now, this question actually consists of around, from Christopher's code, actually consists of around knowledge area tests, around 10 sets based on knowledge areas. And apart from that, there are 18 sets which consists of around 50 questions each. And each set is actually jumbled up from all knowledge areas. So this set actually consists of more than 1,000 questions, if I say, and from a PMP participant, from an aspirant who is planning to clear PMP at the very first attempt, this is one of the very important question set which I recommend everyone to go through. It's by Christopher Scotto, and you can get it if you get PMI membership. So this is one of the major benefit apart from discount and the PMBOK guide. This is one of the major benefits that you get if you're a PMI member. So after I've taken the PMI membership and got access to all these study materials, question bank, uh, and I fulfill the experience and education details which are a prerequisite for PMP certification exam, and I'm quite sure all the aspirants who are planning to go for PMP certification in the near future are aware of the experience and education details that are required for you to qualify for PMP exam. And the most important prerequisite that I should say that I have kept in mind, and I recommend everyone to have it in mind before they even plan for PMP certification exam, is to keep a target date. Never follow an approach where you say that yes, the day I get prepared, then I'll give the PMP exam. That never works. This is something, always keep a target date. I feel that this is the most important part. I have seen many people who thinks, again, as I said, that they will give the exam when they are prepared, and that date never comes, and so they are preparing for 4 months, 6 months, and a year. Ultimately, after a couple or 3 years, the PMBOK changes. Again, they are reading from the very scratch the new PMBOK version. So it ultimately takes a lot of effort, a lot of time, and they gain nothing without having a target date. So I suggest fix a date which is within 30 to 45 days from the start of your preparation, and then do the back calculation. This basically, if I talk this approach I have said because everybody is aware what is student syndrome. Student syndrome basically, until unless you have the date in mind, you will not push yourself hard to get your plan work, to get your preparation done within that defined time frame. So with all these prerequisites, PMI membership, the education experience, with all the study materials and the date in mind, I prepared my journey for the PMP certification exam. So I prepared a list of tools and techniques that I've used for clearing the PMP certification exam. And the first and foremost, and one of the most important tool that I have used to clear PMP certification exam is a training. Now, many people do self-study and clear. Yes, that's right. Many people you'll find that who has done self-study and have cleared. But I felt that yes, getting through a training, attending a training is very, very essential. And I have attended a KnowledgeWoods PMP preparation program. And the reasons behind attending a training program is that the program prepares you in detail for the PMP exam. And KnowledgeWorks program is actually divided into modules, and each module consists of lots of exercises, assessment tests, plus knowledge sharing from the trainers. It helps you prepare in detail for the PMP exam. And KnowledgeWorks program, whenever any concept is taught, it is followed by exercises, which ensures that you imbibe the concept in full. Plus every module, as I said earlier, that every module has exercises, assessment tests. So every module ends with an assessment test, which is very similar to the PMP exam, and which helps you recognize your weak and strong areas. Then obviously one of the prerequisites for PMP exam is the 35 contact hours, which you can get after attending the program. Plus, in the training program, it is generally conducted by experts who have delivered lots of PMP classes, have a long list of participants who have attended their classes and have passed the exam within 45 days and in the very first attempt. So they share the strategy, the updated concepts, the upcoming trends, the latest trends that are being followed in the PMP exam. Plus, KnowledgeWoods would also provide you an e-learning program which you can get access, and that will help you iron out all the gaps that you have before you give the exam. The e-learning program again has lots of exercises, stories, job aids, tests, and one excellent thing about every learning is that there is a separate section on PMP maths, and PMP exam you'll find around if I talk about my test, I came across around 15 to 20 questions on PMP Maths. So in KnowledgeWoods e-learning, there is a separate module on PMP Maths which help you focus on the mathematical problems only, like earned value management, problems on communication channels, problems on expected monetary value, which is on risk management, problems on procurement management. So all those mathematical problems are there apart from the tests and exercises of other modules. So it is an excellent tool for you to prepare for the PMP exam and clear it in the very first attempt. So attending a training, as I said, is recommended, is must for all aspirants who wants to clear the PMP exam in the very first attempt. And another reason of attending a program and not going for PMP certification as a self-study, reason being that yes, while doing self-study, while referring the very renowned books that are there in the market, I might know all the concepts, but I might miss out on certain key concepts which can only be learned in a training which can be shared by experienced people who has been through the process. So those small tips and tricks, those small filling up of the gaps is very, very essential for you to clear the PMP exam in the very first attempt. So, and yes, as I was doing the training, as I was studying and attending the 4 days program plus the e-learning, I made sure that I go through the books, the PMBOK and the reference book that KnowledgeWoods have provided me, plus other study materials that KnowledgeWoods have provided me. So I started off with PMBOK guide. I read through it twice during my preparation. This is again of utmost importance. Reading PMBOK will help you get the PMI lexicon imbibed into your system. Now, lots of questions in the exam will be related to the exact term which PMP, PMI uses. Now, in our real projects, we do all those activities, we follow all those processes, but we don't define it in the PMI way. So, going through PMBOK will help you imbibe those concepts, imbibe those terms, imbibe those lexicon into your system. Then, KnowledgeWorks provided us a reference handbook, which is Headfirst from O'Reilly publication, an excellent book, especially for people who wants to have a good book, an interesting book to study. Other books, if I say PMBOK and other books that are available, are little bit theoretical. Head first, on the other hand, it consists of lots of stories, exercises, picture-driven scenarios, which helps you to recall, remember concepts very easily. Again, the book has lots of exercises. I made sure that I do all those exercises without any fail. Apart from Headfirst, yes, though I didn't refer any other book, but yes, there are many other books which you can use during your preparation time. So other books that can be used for PMP preparation are books like Rita Mulcahy, PMP Study Guide by Kim Hellman. Then there is another book from Andy Crow. So those books can be used for PMP preparation. But yes, I used only Headfirst and PMBOK. Plus, KnowledgeWorks provided us a reference handbook, which actually is an extract of all the important concepts, all the important terms, all the important information that is there in PMBOK. So this helped me focus on the key areas. So having such a gist of the entire PMBOK is very, very helpful, because during the last few days of your preparation, it's difficult to go through an entire handbook or go through entire PMBOK. So having such a gist was very, very useful for me. And apart from this, KnowledgeWoods also provided me a process chart. Again, a process chart gives you an overview of the interaction between all the processes, process groups, and knowledge areas that are there in PMBOK. So I had an overview of the entire interaction, integration of all the knowledge areas, processes in one single chart. That helped you to understand the entire data flow, how project management is done as per PMI way. So I made sure that I read through PMBOK, the reference book, the extracts. So this is an important aspect of my preparation. Apart from that, an excellent thing which I used and which KnowledgeWorks provided me actually is a mind map. Now, what is a mind map? I'm sure we use this tool while we are in doing our project, especially while we are generating requirements, while we are identifying risks, while we are brainstorming. So this is an excellent tool which helps you generate important ideas and brief that in one single document. So KnowledgeWords provided us a mind map which actually consists of all the processes, all the important concepts, and broken down into minutest of details. So the mind map that has been provided helped me remember all the important concepts at one go. I used it throughout my preparation and especially during the last few days of the preparation. Reason being, again, the last 7 to 8 days of your preparation, it is not possible to go through all the books, all the reference materials again. Again, it is not possible to go through entire PMBOK also, because after around 25 to 30 days of continuous preparation, you are also exhausted. You have read through the books twice and you don't feel like reading them again. So mind map helped me re- focus on the key areas and ensured that I don't forget any concept or any important concept don't spill out of the gap. So mind map is an excellent tool which I again use throughout my preparation, and I recommend everyone whosoever attends KnowledgeWorks program to go through the mind map, a very important tool which helped me clear my exam in the very first attempt. So with the books and the mind maps and study I set forth for the PMP exam, I kept my preparation on, and while I was preparing, I used various assessment tools just to ensure where do I stand, what is my preparation level. Now, the assessment tools that I used are I made sure I attempt all the mock tests that KnowledgeWords provided me. KnowledgeWords provided a question bank of 2000 sets. I consider them tougher than real PMP exam. The exam that I faced was quite easier than the real than if I compare it with the KnowledgeWords mock test. And KnowledgeWords 2000 question is basically divided into 10 sets. Now each set consisting of 200 questions, and each set there is a timer of 4 hours, and you need to complete one test in 4 hours, and once you complete one test you get your score, the right answers, the wrong answers, explanation, so you can review your entire test also. So what I did after completing each test, I reviewed my scores. KnowledgeWorks mock test gives an overall score, that how much you scored on overall 200 questions. Then knowledge area wise question, knowledge area wise score. Now each mock test consists of questions from different knowledge areas. So KnowledgeWorks gave me how much I scored in each knowledge area. Plus, the entire program is divided into 5 domains. The process group, that is initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing. So KnowledgeWorks score sheet also defines how much I've scored in each of these process groups. So it helped me to focus, identify my weak areas. Basically, it helped me pinpoint the exact weak area which I had in my entire preparation plan. So, and yes, while giving the test, though the passing percentage in exam is typically around 70 to 75%, but I kept a benchmark that yes, I need to score between 80 to 90% in all the sets. In all, plus not only in the overall set, in all the other areas, as I said, 80 to 90% overall, 82%, 80 to 90% knowledge area wise, plus process group wise also. Also, I made sure that I attempt one set at one go in 4 hours. I didn't pause it, I didn't log out from the system because it is recommended. Because in the real PMP exam, you won't be allowed to pause your exam. You can take breaks, but you won't be able to pause it. Even if you take breaks, those are counted in your 4 hour duration. So actually, PMP exam, apart from testing your project management knowledge and PMBOK knowledge, it also tests you on your patience, your diligence, and your stress level, and that requires some practice. So I made sure that while giving the knowledge wood test, I practiced the set. I attempted that set in the real way that I'm going to give the PMP exam. And yes, as I told you, I made sure that I give the exam at one go, the mock test. Then the next tool that I used in my preparation is a tool called Decomposition, which means that the entire preparation has been divided into three phases. Now, if you look at your screen, when I talk about three phases, the three phases are the first pass, the second pass, and the third pass. So these are the three passes, the phases that I used in my preparation. And the entire span is of 40 to 45 days, I recommend. Now, each of these phases again is divided into three tracks: reading the book, reading PMBOK, and attempting questions. If you look at your left hand side, the vertical line, the y-axis, basically it talks about reading supplementary book, PMBOK, and questions. And if you look at the horizontal line, the yellow bar, it talks about first pass, second pass, third pass, basically the phases. So the tracks are basically the activities that I did in each of these phases. Now these activities has to run parallelly. So what I did every day, I made sure that I read one chapter from the book and the same chapter from PMBOK, and I attempted 20 to 30 questions from that particular module. So let's say, for example, I started off with project management framework. So I completed project management framework from head first. I completed project management framework from no, PMBOK, and then attempted 20 to 30 questions from project management framework. Now, from where do I get these questions of project management framework? The sources were KnowledgeWoods e-learning. The sources were head first questions knowledge area wise. So each day I made sure that questions I attempted from that particular knowledge area. So if I talk about framework, then 10 knowledge areas, I completed the entire phase in 12 days. So first phase was completed in 12 days, and during this phase, when I studied the book, when I studied PMBOK, it is about light study, not getting into too much in-depth knowledge. Doing light study, made sure I kept on writing notes with whatever information I gained new while reading the books, highlighting the areas which I find very important, and doing light study. So in the second phase, I started with a detailed study of each chapter. Similarly, in the same way, I studied one chapter from head first, one chapter from PMBOK, and 50 questions every day. Now, in the second pass, basically the questions that I'm talking about, basically the questions that I attempted are the questions from Christopher Scodo. At the beginning of the session, I told you that if you take PMI membership, you get an access to Christopher Scodo questions, which I recommend everyone should attempt if they are planning to pass the PMP exam in the very first attempt, apart from KnowledgeWoods tests. So these two are the major sources of tests when I'm talking about. And in the third phase, that is the third pass, it was only about focusing on the weaker areas and attempting KnowledgeWoods full set. I recommend everyone should attempt all the 10 sets. I gave the exam after attempting the 7th set only, so I was confident that I'll clear the exam. So I gave it after completing 7 sets from KnowledgeWoods, but I recommend everyone should complete all the 10 sets. It will help you prepare facing the real, like the questions that you really face in PMP exam. And as I said, KnowledgeWoods mock tests are tougher than the PMP exam, what I felt in the exam that I gave. And to sum it up, so this was my entire plan. I passed the exam in 30 days time frame, the day I first planned to give the exam. So within 30 days, I completed my entire journey and gave the exam and passed it. So you can now plan it as three phases. You can have each phase divided into 12 days each. So 36 days to 40 days, you can complete this entire preparation if you follow this plan. Now, important part here is that every day I studied. I dedicated at least 2 to 3 hours every day. That is very important. Don't lose touch from the subject. Even if you don't get time to study, make sure that you attempt questions at least. So make sure you are in touch with the subject throughout your preparation time. And the question set that I'm talking about in this, I used only three sources of questions: the questions from head first, the questions from KnowledgeWoods e-learning, the questions from Christopher Scordo, PMI membership, and KnowledgeWoods full mock test. These are the sources of questions which I recommend and which I have used also. Now, next important point, and which I recommend everyone should keep in mind, is that you should not go full throttle from day one. It's all about progressively elaborating. Slow but steady progress will actually help you reach your goal seamlessly. Don't exhaust yourself in the preparation phase itself. Go slow, steady, and you will reach your goal within 45 days. Trust me. It's passing the exam is not a very hard thing to do, but yes, you have to prepare yourself, you have to keep yourself focused, you have to keep on attempting questions, focus on the weak areas, strong areas, and you need to slowly but steadily progress, not lose touch with the subject. Again, also it is important not to give too much effort while preparation. So make sure you progressively elaborate your entire preparation. Go slow and steady. And while I was preparing, I made sure that I set milestones and review my performances. Setting milestones and reviewing and assessing after every milestone is very, very important. This will actually help you analyze where do you stand. And the crux of clearing PMP is about identifying your weak area and ironing it out. So make sure that what I did is that after every set, as I told you, that I analyze the scores, I analyze the weak areas, I analyze the process group where I'm scoring less, analyze the knowledge area where I'm scoring less, and made sure I put more focus on the weak areas. It's not that I lost focus or I ignored the strong areas, but yes, once you identify your weak areas, I attempted more questions from those. I made sure I read the chapter again. I highlighted the areas. I made sure I write down notes from that weak area so that I iron out any weakness that I had related to the exam. So that when I go for the exam, I am fully prepared, fully confident about if questions are from any knowledge area, I can easily crack that question. And it is very, very important. And one important point which I should mention here is that I have come across many people who tend to ignore some knowledge areas. It is a total no for PMP exam. Now in PMP exam, weightage domain wise, that is planning, initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and closing, weightage is given domain wise, but weightage knowledge area wise is not given. So it is very, very important you keep your focus on all the knowledge areas to make sure you understand each and every concept of every knowledge area and iron out any gaps that you have in your understanding, in your knowledge, so that when you go for the exam, you don't have any doubts in your mind that you'll not be able to clear the exam. So I made sure that after every test, I review, I analyze, I identify the weak areas and work on it. So by the time I reached, as I told you that I gave the exam after the seventh set of KnowledgeWoods mock test. So by the time I reached KnowledgeWoods seventh set, I was scoring around 95%, 97%. So which is quite good when it comes to preparing and when it comes to knowledge and when it comes to passing the exam in the very first attempt. And yes, the best thing about PMP is that all the efforts that are required are only one time. You don't have to give the exam again to renew your certification. Give the exam, pass it, you are a PMP certified throughout your life. Just that you need to collect professional development units to retain your PMP. No re-exam required. So yes, performance review is very, very important. And yes, as I was telling you that keeping notes. Now, in my entire preparation span, I used a simple notebook. Now you can use your diary where you write your notes, your information. I would recommend that have a new notebook where you can write down notes throughout your reading of PMBOK reference handbook, and whenever you get wrong answers, write the reasoning why you got the wrong answer. Plus, also while I was reviewing the questions, I also made sure that I review my right answers. Reviewing the right answers also is very important because the justification should also be correct. Now, KnowledgeWoods mock tests also gives you justification of the right answer and the wrong answer. So it is very, very important you have your justification, your reasoning also right. So I made sure that I note down each and every details that I came across while reading, studying, attempting test, anything that I got wrong, anything where I got correct, but maybe there was some deviation from the reasoning. I made a note of it in my notebook. I divided my entire notebook into knowledge area wise so that during my last few days of preparation, I can just refer through my notes and give the exam at the very without any hassle. So the notebook that which will be preparing is a very priceless asset and can be used, as I said, during the last 4 to 5 days of your preparation. And I did it during the last 6 to 7 days, as I was talking about the preparation plan. Focus on your weak areas. How will you focus on your weak areas is by reading through your notes, the mind maps which knowledge will provide. And one important thing is that make sure throughout your preparation time you keep on updating your notes. Whatever information new you get, whatever right, wrong information you get, make sure you note it down so that you don't repeat the same mistake again. And yes, the last important tool that I used is benchmarking, especially while attempting the question sets. So while attempting KnowledgeWoods PMP questions, as I told you, I set a benchmark of 80 to 90%. And now 80 to 90% overall score is not only enough. I made sure that I achieve 80 to 90% process group wise, knowledge area wise, and overall as well. So this will again help you to pinpoint the area where you are weak, where you are strong. So this is one benchmark that I said. Plus, as I told you that I was attempting tests from Head First and Christopher Scordo questions, which I got it from PMI membership. So everywhere I kept a score of 80 to 90%. So yes, this is very, very important. This will actually let you know that are you prepared for PMP exam or not. So after following all these tools and techniques, I ultimately went for the exam. So the outputs, the outcomes that I got, yes, and during my entire preparation plan, one important thing is that yes, make sure that you submit your application, get it approved, and get your exam ID. That should be a parallel process which should go along with your preparation. So now, then came the exam day. Very, very important. How do you keep yourself focused during the exam day and the duration? Now, what I did is that I visited the center a day before the exam. It is recommended because I didn't visit the center earlier, and I recommend everyone who has not seen their nearest PMI center go and visit it so that you know the route, you know the time taken from your place to reach that center, and if any hassles are there, you know it before the day of the exam. Now, during the exam day, I reached the center a few hours early, and I went through all their security processes, all their documentation processes, all their login biometric process, and ultimately I went into the exam hall. Keeping focus is the key word during the exam time. Keep focused. Keep yourself relaxed. Don't panic. Don't get anxious. This is just an exam. This is not a matter of life and death. People will pass, people will fail. It has no question of credibility of your knowledge, skill set, or your project management capability. It's just an exam. Treat it as an exam. Don't overburden yourself with lots of expectations. So, if you keep these things in mind, you'll keep focused, you'll remain calm. Remaining calm is very, very important. The questions in the exam are not tough. It's just that the way you're thinking, the way you're focusing, the way your brain is working will make the questions tough or easy. So, recommend everyone to stay calm. So to stay calm, one important thing that I did is that a day before the exam, I didn't do anything. I just relaxed. So, and during the exam, I just made sure that whatever comes, I'll just attempt the questions, read the question, not think much about the exam outcome, and give the exam. And how do you give the exam is very, very important. Now, the entire exam is actually divided into 200 questions, out of 200 questions, around 25 questions are actually what you call pre-test questions, which does not carry any marks. So effectively, you are left with 175 questions on which you will be marked and scored. So I divided my entire exam into three passes basically. I gave the exam in three passes. So three passes basically means I went through 200 questions three times. So the first time what I did is that I attempted only those questions which I am 100% sure, for which I don't have to revisit again. And I never revisited them again after that, after I have answered. So in the first pass, I attempted around 150 to 160 questions. And while you're giving the exam, it actually gives you questions which you can leave unanswered or you can mark them for review. And so questions which were mathematical, which were related to time management, network diagram, which required a lot of calculation, not tough, but which requires time. So I left them unanswered. I didn't even mark them for review. I just left them unanswered. And questions which were complicated, basically questions which had two probable answers, both of the options could be correct out of the four. So I left them, I marked them for review. So after I completed one round of my entire 200 questions, I was left with 150 which I've answered and I know I'm sure about that. Around 20 to 25 questions which required some mathematical questions, network diagram, calculations which were unanswered basically, and questions which are marked for review were around 10 to 15. So I filtered out in the second round, for the second round, for the second pass, I filtered out questions which were mathematical. So mathematical questions were easy, but it took some time. And it will take some time to draw the network diagram, to do the calculations, and ultimately give the exam. So in the second round, I completed all the mathematical questions. And so after I completed the second round, I had questions which were answered were around 185. So and then I was left with some marked for review questions which were around 15. So I could analyze those questions, read their options also very carefully, sometimes use elimination technique, read the options also carefully, and ultimately identify which one is the correct answer. The questions which are a bit confusing are those questions where you have two options which are very similar. So in those cases, you have to use techniques like elimination, understand why the other option is wrong, and ultimately reach to the right answers. So in three rounds, I completed my exam and I clicked on submit. After you click on submit, basically the screen goes blank for around 4 to 5 seconds. Then a survey comes, which you need to fulfill. There are around 9 questions in the survey. After filling the survey, again you click on submit. Again the screen goes blank, and ultimately what you get is what I got is yes, you have successfully cleared the exam. Congratulations. And then they ask you how much you have scored in each of the domains. As I told you, the entire exam is divided into 5 domains. Though questions are not generated domain wise, they are randomly generated. But yes, they will tell you how much you have scored in each domain. Scoring, they give you weightage wise. Each domain carries 3 weightage, which is proficient, moderate proficient, and below proficient. So proficient basically means that your knowledge about that domain is above the average population. Moderate basically means that your knowledge about that domain is at par with the population, and below proficient is basically something which is below the average. So I can proudly say that yes, I have got 5 proficient in all the 5 domains, and I completed the exam in around 2 hours 45 minutes to 3 hours. Then they will ask you to you can take a printout of that result sheet from the center itself. I recommend everyone to take the printout of the result sheet because PMI takes around 32 hours to 40 hours to update that in their own platform, plus send you an email because of time zone difference. So by that time you get all the updates from PMI, you can have the result sheet from the center itself, which you can get it immediately after the exam is over. So this was the plan that I have followed, and yes, PMP certification not only helped me uh, to get a better job, to get better prospects, job prospects in future, but also the values, other values that you get are priceless, because the knowledge that you get throughout your preparation time, throughout this rigorous process of studying, preparing yourself, understanding how PMI talks about project management, you gain a lot of skill which you can apply in your real world project and ultimately become an effective project manager. That is what the aim of PMI and project management and PMP certification is, also to make you more effective day by day. So this is one of the benefits that I've gained apart from a PMP certification and other tangible benefits. This is one priceless benefit which I've gained is the application part. Now, yes, application will help you to get favorable results in your project. Now, I would sum up like the key lessons that I have learned during this entire process, and I would also like to mention that so that people who are planning to give the PMP exam in the very near future have few things in mind and they prepare accordingly. First of all, attending a training is recommended. As I told you, preparing on own can lead to missing out on many important concepts. Many things you learn only during a training, only through networking. Then having a date from the having a target date for the exam. I recommend that within 40 to 45 days you should give the exam after the training. This will help you to clear the exam in a very first attempt. Reason being, survey has said that after attending a training, basically what you retain is 50 to 60%. And if you delay your exam for more than 45 days, what you are left is actually on your own. So make sure you give the exam within 30 to 45 days. One very important thing, do not go for free online questions, notes, books that are available in Google. They are not authenticated, neither updated, and in some cases, many questions are wrong. So do not do that. Your sources of questions, the sources of questions which I used are Headfirst, Christopher Scordo questions, and KnowledgeWoods mock test. And sources of information questions I recommend best is the RAP questions, KnowledgeWoods questions, which I have used best in my case. 3 to 4 hours study, including attempting questions every day. So yes, I understand that during job it is very difficult. What I did is that during the morning time I studied, at the evening I attempted the questions. So during the first 40 to 45 days, yes, you have to sacrifice a bit of sleep, and yes, make so that it will make sure that you give the exam within the required time frame. Attempting all the sets from knowledge words is a must. 2000 questions is a must. It will prepare you thoroughly. Don't refer too many books. Only three things you need to do. Any one book, as I said, Rita Malkai, Head First, or Kim Hellman book is any one of these is good enough. PMBOK, second thing. And third are the questions. Three things you have to keep in mind, and you have to just go through these three things. Don't, I have seen people who have read through many books and unfortunately they didn't clear. See, no book will have some extra information which the other book doesn't have. At least I didn't find that. So it's better choose the book that suits your reading style. My reading style is not theoretical, so I picked up Headfirst. If you can read theories, long black and white pages, Rita Malkai, Kim Hellman book is okay, but any one book. All the three books are good. Even if you search Google, these are the three top books recommended for PMP. Having a target date is a must, and having a plan. Yes, you keep a target date, but make sure you also plan your days accordingly. And yes, after you get PMP, do not stop at PMP. There are many new certifications, many new skill sets, which as a project management professional you should obtain. Like if you're into IT, Agile project management is one of them. In risk management, there are risk management certifications. Scrum certifications are there. In IT service management, certifications are there. My next target is program management certification, which is again from PMI, PGMP certification. And apart from continuously improving your own skill set, you also make sure that yes, you keep on sharing your knowledge to your peers, your colleagues, your team, so that not only you as a team, you become more and more effective. So it is all up to us, all certified people. When you get certified, it will be all up to you. How do you promote this project management culture so that not only as an individual, as a team, as an organization, as an economy, as a country, we become more and more effective when it comes to managing projects. So this is a brief about my entire preparation journey, my entire plan. Now, if you have any questions, you can type, you can ask, and I'll be very happy to answer that. So yes, I already have few questions. Now, first question is, I'm told that PMP course is changing. Process pattern is going to be changed from January 2016. Yes, the current pattern will, the exam in the current pattern will be held till January 11, 2016. From January 12th, 2016, the pattern is changing and you'll get questions based on the new patterns. I have already delivered a webinar on the changes in the exam pattern, which is there in the KnowledgeWoods webinar series. If you get into KnowledgeWoods website and go to the webinar section, you will get the webinar where I have spoken about the exact changes that have happened in the new pattern. Typically, if I brief it, there are around 8 topics which have been added. 8 topics have been that have been added, and questions. Yes, questions will definitely come from those new topics. So I specified those exact topics, and you can go through the webinar. Then another question is that will it be tough if I plan to appear in the PMP next year as opposed to this year? Toughness wise, see, I won't rate it will become more tough, but yes, people, whenever PMP exam changes, you have to wait for some time before the actual updated books, study materials do come in the market, and those updated questions are also there. Plus, PMI has claimed that yes, there are 8 new topics which are added in the new syllabus, which will be there from January 12, 2016. 8 new topics and questions. 25% of the questions will be around those topics, which PMI claims. So yes, if you consider from toughness, from new topic perspective, yes, I would say that yes, it might get tough because new topics are there and new set of questions will be there. So if you have an option where you can give the exam this year or before January 11th, I would recommend to give it in this existing pattern. This is a tried and tested pattern, and you can. I should suggest that yes, you give the exam within this pattern itself. Then there is a question: Hi, where do I get the Christopher's Cordo questions? If you're a PMI member, just log into PMI membership and go to e-reads and reference section. What you can do is that just once you log in into your PMI membership, on your dashboard, you will see a search button. On that search tab, just type e-reads. And once you click on e-reads and search, a list of links will open. And the first link will talk about PMI e-reads and reference. Just enter that link and you will find Christopher's Cordo questions. Then can we attend the exam from outside through online? Yes, there are Prometric testing centers available across the globe. So you just need to log into prometric.com and you can give the exam wherever there is a Thomson Prometric authorized center for PMI exam. Then Balachandra has asked that is this session recorded so that I can refer in future as well. I find it difficult joining the session earlier. Join late, miss some initial stuff. Yes, Balachandra, you can get a recorded session from KnowledgeWoods and you'll get it in their webinar series in their platform. You can just get into their platform, but it will take some time for them to upload it. It is not immediately available. You'll get it, I guess, within 1 or 2 days. It will be available there. Then there is a question: is Prince2 certification also equivalent to PMP? I am getting confused which one to appear for. I'm into IT software with around plus 9 years of experience. Which one of it is more recommended? If I talk about recognition wise, PMP is more recognized as compared to Prince2. Prince2 is more of a certification which is asked for in European and UK countries. in UK, and US is more like US, Canada, Australia. So if I talk about the globe distribution, you can say around 75-25%. 75% mostly will be talking about PMP, and the rest 25% will be talking about Prince 2. But if you're catering to organizations, clients which are US based, then yes, PMP will be far more better certification for you to go. Plus, yes, Azad, I have also a webinar recorded in KnowledgeWoods session which talks about the detailed difference between PMP and Prince 2. So you can go through that webinar also to understand the detailed difference between them. Then there is a question, if I have attended the training in November, then which version of certification I can take, either 2015 or 2016 version? Now question is, which part of November, second half or first half? If you're going to attend it in the first half, then you can go for the examination in the existing pattern itself. If you're going to attend the training in December or late December, then I would suggest that yes, obviously you'll give the exam in January or later, so get trained in the new version. Okay, so yes, KnowledgeWoods would be updating their course materials in November itself, November second half or maybe December. So you can attend their session so that you can give the exam in the new pattern as well. So yes, question is, when is the new pattern starting? As I told you that yes, November and December first week, KnowledgeWoods will start off with the new pattern, and you can attend that session from KnowledgeWoods. You can inquire it from KnowledgeWoods, and they will give you the exact dates of December so that you can attend the same. So any other questions, gentlemen? So yes, I guess I have answered all the questions that are posted in the forum. If you have any other questions, you can drop an email. If you can see on the screen, an email, my email ID is mentioned, plus other email IDs of KnowledgeWoods is also mentioned, info@knowledgewoods.com. My email ID is bhaskar@knowledgewoods.com. You can drop in an email, any support, any help you require from us, which will help you to prepare Pass PMP at your very first attempt. We'll be very glad to help. Yes, I have a question. Is it recommended to appear for the latest version of PMP post 11 January version is also fine. Now question is, when do you want to give the exam? If you want to give the exam before January 11th, attend the training now and give it. If you want to give the exam after January 11th, then you can attend the training in November second half or in December, and you can go for it. So that's not a big deal. So question is, when do you want to give the exam? And I recommend give the exam in the existing format. That's my recommendation. Now, yes, that would depend on whether you are available, whether you have the desired time or not to dedicate for the PMP exam. That totally depends on you. So yes, I have answered. Thank you, everyone. I've answered all the questions. Thank you, everyone, for joining this session. Uh, it's great that I could share my experience, and I hope it will be helpful for you in your journey for PMP. And any support you require, do drop an email, and we'll be glad to help. So thank you, everyone.